Hello everyone and welcome to my kitchen. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make my absolute favorite bread loaf. This is a honey oat bread. And to get started with, what we're going to do is add 1 cup of water to a small saucepan. And to that water we are going to add 1 cup of old-fashioned rolled oats. And then we're going to turn the heat onto just a medium-low heat to start cooking those oats. And then we've got just a couple more ingredients we're going to add here. We're going to do 1 teaspoon of salt. We are also going to be using 1/3 of a cup of butter, but I'm actually going to be adding that into the mix a little bit later. So for now, I'm just setting that aside. And then we're also going to be using 1/3 of a cup of local honey. Use whatever honey is your favorite, just 1/3 right into the pot with everything else. Now, what you're looking for here is you want it to take on the consistency essentially of oatmeal. So you want your oats to be completely saturated with that water. We want to make sure that the salt gets dissolved in there and that the honey is incorporated throughout. So this is going to take you anywhere between 1 to 3 minutes to get to this point. And after you've gotten the oats to that point, then you're just going to go ahead and turn off the heat and then add your butter in at that time. The reason we're adding the butter in here is so that it can help to cool down our oat mixture. So we're going to kind of use it as a cooling agent because we don't want this mixture to be too hot at this point. Now what we're going to do is take a cup of water. You want this slightly above room temperature. Do not use cold water. And then we're going to add in 2 tablespoons of yeast and just give this a mix. We're going to set this aside just to make sure that it does bloom and it is good to go. And once my oat mixture is at about 115 degrees, we move on. Now to start mixing this, I am using my stand mixer today, but you can do this by hand, of course. So we're going to use 3 cups of all-purpose flour to get this started. We will be using more later on. But to that 3 cups of all-purpose flour, we are going to add the oat mixture. We're going to include 1 egg in here as well, and then our yeast and water mixture, and we're going to mix until there's no more flour visible in the bowl. At this point, you want to start adding in your flour cup by cup. So you can expect to use anywhere from 1 to potentially 3 more cups of flour, but just add it 1 cup at a time and mix until you have a nice consistent dough. Now it is time to let your bread dough rise. You can do this in an oiled bowl on the countertop and just let it sit until it's double its size. But I actually like to do this in my Instant Pot. So I will just oil the inside of my Instant Pot and set it on the yogurt setting for 30 minutes and just cover it with a loose lid, and this will rise to double its size in half an hour. Easy peasy. Once your dough has risen, we're just going to go ahead and oil up some loaf pans here. Now this recipe does make 2 small loaves, but if you want 1 large loaf, you can just put all of it into one of the pans. I just eyeball how much I'm putting in each pan. Usually I get one a little bit bigger and one a little bit smaller doing it that way. If you want to be exact, you can just use a kitchen scale to make sure that you're putting the same amount in each pan. And once I've got these in my loaf pans, I want to set them aside and just let them rise for a couple minutes, not very long at all. Really, I just want the dough to go ahead and kind of fill out the bottom of the loaf pan. So I will just cover this with a towel and let it sit for about 5 minutes while I preheat my oven. The oven temperature is going to be 375 degrees. these. And then once these have plumped up just a little bit, I'm going to pop them in the oven, and these are going to bake for about 40 minutes. And now it is time to take my loaves out of the oven, and let me tell you, they smell so, so good. So after about 40 minutes, they should be nice and golden brown on top. You can also top these if you wanted to, like brush a little bit of butter on top and sprinkle some oats on there. So you can make them fancy if you want, but I don't really need to. You should easily be able to pop these out of their loaf pans, like I was able to pop out the one in the darker pan. Now, this one didn't pop out quite as easily, and when I tapped it, it didn't sound hollow. So, this guy went back in the oven for another 5 to 10 minutes until he was ready to go. But I hope you guys enjoy this video, and I really hope you make this bread because it is so, so good. Bye bye.